Cairo, Cairo is my baby's home. Cairo, Cairo is my baby's home. One bad Cairo night won't be long. Women in Cairo, they will treat you kind and sweet. Women in Cairo, they will treat you kind and sweet. Catch you around and take you off your feet.
Sorry for the delay. I am a terrible 10 minutes late with my live stream today. I'm really sorry. Technical issues, all of a sudden cameras wouldn't respond and things happened. I want to use a stronger word for that. But great to see you guys, and thank you so much for waiting. Yes, David was first. And I was 15 minutes late to your live stream, but I then watched the replay. And David had a live stream 12 o'clock Central Eastern Standard Time. And I'm usually watching that on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays when I can, when I'm not on the road. All right, so I wasn't the only one. No, I did not upgrade to anything, and it's just as it was. But I was actually writing the script for today because there are many images that I'm going to be showing you, and I usually do the tech check like 2 hours prior, and then I just continue writing. But then it just, I got lost in translation, and I was, actually it's my bad. But all of a sudden, cameras that were working in a certain order, and they were always connected and all that, wouldn't be recognized, and I had to switch them over. And David, you know what I'm talking about because it's Ecamm, and no matter how much I really love the software, and it's just made everything possible for me to do the live streams and fulfill my ambition of going live sometime and all that. But yeah, all right, and finally we're live. So what's the topic today? The main topic is GAS, Gear Acquisition Syndrome. But with a twist, I have a question. When is more less? And what does less mean? So I have a little rant about that, which we'll be talking in about 10 minutes maybe. But first of all, I'm going to play a welcome song, which I actually have the wrong guitar on me. 4. But that's also something that I kind of was ambitious to do, maybe different. A song that I usually play in standard tuning, but now it's going to be in open tuning, in open D. So let's see how that's going to sound. Sorry for the sounds coming at you right now. Let's see if that works. Yes, thank you. So with a little bit of adjustments that you will see right here that I'm doing. And it didn't take that long. I'm quite happy. Let's just go a little bit like this. So this is I've got 3 cameras that I use here, and great, shiny, nice guitar going up, cool if we make it. Here's a song, a welcome song by Jimmy Reed, Any Way You Want Me to Do. And this song is played with harmonica, on a mouth harmonica on a very high pitch and everything. And I have this on the CD with Sam Mitchell called Too Long From Home. And I'll just do it solo now, and it sounds like this. You got me running, you got me hiding, you got me running, hide, any way you want me, oh babe. Well, 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 well. You got me doing what you want me, baby, any way you want me to do. You got me up, you got me down, you got me up, down, down, up, any way you want me, oh baby. Well, 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 well. Well, you got me doing what you want me, baby, any way you want me to do. You got me in, and you got me out. You got me in, out, out, and any way you want me, baby, let it roll. Well, 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 well. Well, you got me doing what you want me, baby, any way you want me to do. You got me hiding, you got me run, high, high, run, any way you want me, oh baby. Well, 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 well. You got me doing what you want me, baby, any way you want me to do. So that was that. Ooh, somebody in the comments that I need to ban. Okay, that's it. I don't have a moderator with me today, so I'll have to do it myself. Cool. Ooh, this was cool. We need to tune. So this part is a bit of a impro, but trust me, when we come to the subject for today, that's going to be neat. So there's going to be standard tuning E, just the regular backup. But the next one, the second song, is going to be an open G. So maybe you can try to prepare for that. Okay, I'll back off from the microphone just for a second, or I'll turn Whoa. Slow blues in E. Let's go. Thank you, Patrick. I'm trying to kind of do it a little bit different. Maybe not every time, but sometimes I really like it a bit darker, and I'm still learning about the cameras, lights, settings, and everything. And it's so just extremely fun to do. Apart from playing, of course. That comes to this gear acquisition syndrome. I could have made it with a very simple light and one light for the whole room, and I don't think anybody in the live stream would mind. But that comes within, and I wanted to have it according to my own vision of how I want it to be presented. So, yeah. Okay, second song, Open G. And I'm sure you hear this sound of a wandering pickup, Seymour Duncan, inside the body, because I didn't want to unsolder it in order to just, because I don't have any gigs until the spare part is coming. So I told you in the last week's stream that it broke down after many, many years and after many, many ins and outs from the guitar. And usually when I fly, I disassemble the pickup I put it in the little pocket underneath the guitar, so it wouldn't maybe damage the body from the inside if anything happens. So it happened. And this time I didn't disassemble it because I was in a hurry to get to the airport. Yeah, that's what happened. So here we go. The backup is going to be an open G, and it's not going to be a shuffle. It's not going to be a slow blues. It's going to be something like a groove that you can play either some solo on or some slide, or just grab the chords. And the main chord that I'm grabbing here is a form of a G7, which is not this one, or maybe just the first string on the 3rd fret, which would be a G7, right? But when you grab the 2nd string, which will be another D note, so we have 3 D notes in this whole thing. But there is another form, looks like a D chord, but not on the 3rd fret as a D chord, but just move it 1 string up, and this is what you get. So we're gonna fool around with this. Guys, ready? Let's go. Two, three, four. Right. I hope this was fun for you as well as it was for me. It's a great. Actually, this could be translated into. Let's see now. Could it be Crossroad Blues in the version of Cream with Eric Clapton? Jack Bruce, Ginger Baker. How about that? Yeah, maybe. All right, let me put this down. Because I'll need both of my hands in order to. I'll need both of my hands in order to be able to do this, what's coming up now. So the theme for today, when is more less? More gear can be less of something. Why more gear? What's gear? You're more than welcome to write in the chat. What do you think? What's gear? Is it our instrument? Are the peripherals, accessories, amps, preamps, pedals, whatever? Is that gear? Well, in my mind, guitars are not gear. There's this, I've been teaching for a long time now, and I'm still stoked by the fact that I'm teaching as somebody who wants to learn from me, which is extremely honoring and fantastic. I mostly discourage students from buying new gear. I always tell them like, oh, why don't you just see what you can do with the things you already have, with your own stuff? Like, yeah, can it be something that's obvious that you have, but you haven't really explored? Because many times, especially when it comes to effects and stuff, our guitars, our instruments, we tend to really explore, and we work with them, we play them very often. Maybe some of the guitars is not played that often, but it's still there, and we know what we can do and what that guitar can do. But when it comes to equipment, amplifiers, I mean, if we buy a guitar amp, in how many occasions and how many times have we really tested how far can it go? What kind of sounds are there? Are there built-in effects? Am I using them? And all that. And many times it happens that people come to me and say, look, I've got this Fender Bassman, but I'm wondering if super reverb would be better. It depends on what you're doing and why you want to do it. I used to have a super reverb, not because I needed it. I had it because Muddy Waters had it. And I've heard that Muddy Waters played it in the late 60s and in the 70s and even in the 80s. That amplifier is large. It's got 4 10-inch loudspeakers built in. It's a combo. And it weighs around 85 pounds for you Americans and around 5 kilos for us. And that's challenging, especially if you're flying around like I used to do, playing small clubs, sometimes a club on a second floor and there was no elevator. Okay, let's bring the beast up to the second floor. And I bought it without the wheels on, so I invested in wheels to be able to take it with me. And then I realized that I had to take the amplifier and another amplifier because I couldn't afford a PA system, and the clubs just didn't have it then. Usually I played in the restaurants when I came to Sweden. Now I'm talking about this period when I came to Sweden in 92. Then I had to, find my ways through the Swedish music scene until I got to the blues scene, where you have associations, where you have blues clubs, where they have their own equipment. So I just had to provide everything myself, and I didn't have too much money. So what I did is I've had this amplifier for I think a year and a half, maybe two, and I just realized this is not doing anything for my setup, for my current setup, because I either have to borrow a small PA for somebody or find another solution. And then I just realized, okay, I still have this connection to this guy who wanted to sell his Roland JC120, which is just another large amplifier, but that's an amplifier with a very clean tone. It's not a valve amplifier, it's solid state. It's got two large 12-inch speakers, which means a lot of bass. Could I get that and use a microphone in one of the channels and then play the guitar in the second one? Yes. So I did that. I bought that amplifier for around $350 at the time, and I used that as a PA. So what I did, I just placed it on the table behind me or a little bit to the side so I could have it as a monitor. I turned it a little bit towards me, and it sounded okay. And I think I played for like 3 or 4 years with that setup without any problem. About that time, I also met Sam Mitchell, and we started playing clubs where they had the PA. So this was kind of, laying around, and I think I kept that amplifier until, if I remember well, 5 or 6 years ago. Then I sold it to the same guy who sold it to me because it was cool. And I bought a real PA system. I have a Bose L1, the one with a long stick and the bass woofer and all that, which is an amazing amplifier, amazing PA system. All right, David. No, I respect your thought about here. Guitars are gear. So your piano is also gear. So how many pianos would you think that you would need? Maybe it's enough for you to have one. When it comes to guitars, it's a bit different. I believe they're not gear. I believe they are more of a means of creating music, because they are totally different. When you take a resophonic guitar like this compared to a regular or average wooden guitar. And then there are wooden guitars of different kinds, smaller, larger, dreadnought guitars looks like a pear, and they are usually used to play bluegrass or flat picking style or within a singer-songwriting scene, and just as well as maybe jumbo guitars that have this large, bigger than life sound acoustically, and then with a good pickup they really sound fantastic. But when it comes to fingerstyle, then the guitars like maybe this Senden that I got, which you see is a very I call it sexy, but it's a rounded edges of the guitar, and it's very much suited for fingerstyle playing. And then there's this baritone guitar that I have with that big bass. Boom, we are on B here. So all of these guitars have their purpose, and I can enrich the live sound or sound in the studio. And since I'm getting studio jobs occasionally, I really like to have that variety of sounds that I can offer and deliver when it comes to, let's say, fulfilling an order of, okay, send us a acoustic guitar mat of like 25-30 minutes of music. Okay, so I do that, and I usually maybe record the backup on a baritone guitar, then I'll play the chords on my regular guitar, and then maybe put some slide on a resophonic guitar or this little resophonic that I just played in open G. So those things are easily done with that without buying gear, because I can just record that through a good microphone, which is gear, okay? But microphones are something you buy once every couple of years, and then you really don't have to upgrade anything until you need them for another occasion or for another level of doing things. If you're maybe trying to sell your services as a recording engineer, and then you of course have to have 5, 6 different microphones to provide for the customers who want to record. And I used to do that as well several years ago. So I have that stuff left in my, somewhere over there in the boxes. So let me see. Patrick says, gear is everything making, transmitting sound between you and the listener, in my opinion. Patrick, that's great, because I just had that as one of the sentences I was about to say, because that's what's in between your instrument and what audience is hearing. So thank you. That's nice that we think alike, which we don't have to. Of course, David can consider guitars as gear. No problem. Exactly what we're going to be talking about. A big emphasis on a pedal board, which means tailoring your sound when you go live on different occasions, in different setups, depending on if I'm playing solo, with a band, in a duo, if I'm just doing a workshop where I need most of my stuff gathered, and then just to be able to show and maybe inspire somebody else to start using that kind of gear. Thank you, sir. This proves my point. This is not a game of I'm right, you're wrong, or you're right, I'm wrong. It's just that I realize that when you come to a certain point on your musical journey, me, you, everybody else, we need to maybe find some new inspiration. Maybe we need to explore other things that could be done with either the same instruments that we already have. But since I have pickups in my acoustic guitars, they will have to be used in order to play live. And then between the pickup and the audience's ears, there are many, many different stages and steps that can be taken, which they actually don't know anything about. Audience who come to your gig, they don't care about gear. They don't care about anything. They're listening to songs, not even to my licks or knowledge on the instrument. They just want to be entertained and they want to hear a song. Now, I have a rant about why does this song sound good and this other doesn't. Why am I impressed by the sound of maybe this, let's say, Tommy Emmanuel, who doesn't use pedals or stuff, but he has a very advanced amplifier, a preamp that he takes that comes in the chain between the guitar and the amplifier. And then that amplifier is lined out with cables to the house PA system, where the sound engineer will tailor the sound to this magnificent, bigger than life sound that he has. Also in his guitar, it's a very sophisticated system, but none of that is obvious for an average listener. So to be honest, gear is to inspire us who are performing. And sometimes they will shorten the way to a better sound. They will shorten the way to get to that gig by maybe saving a couple of kilos of your luggage that you have to check in the gear, but you can take them with the carry-on. Many aspects, but let me show you. I just had a conversation with one of my students who comes to my guitar retreat, which is, by the way, shameless self-plug-in. Next year, 2023, the retreat is going to be between July 21st and 23rd. So that's set now. And yeah, if you want any more information about that, just tag me or send me an email to homesickmac@gmail.com. So one of my students called me, or actually he messaged me, about a Resophonic guitar that he found an ad about, and it's cheap, around $400. And what do you think? Should I buy it? Is it okay? It's of this and that brand. And what do you think? So I know that this person has another resophonic guitar already. So my first reaction was, why? But then I realized, oh, that's right. He's got a single cone guitar, which means a resophonic guitar with one large cone, which is like 9.5 inches large resonator. And that gives you, let's say, a sound of a nice, boomy bass 12-inch loudspeaker, because actually those cones are as loudspeakers. That's where the strings are resting and going down. But this guitar is a tricone, which means the same as mine. And this guitar has 3 resonators. You can see one of them here. If I just angle the guitar like this, right? You see it's one of the resonators, but there are 3. And the reason why there are 3 is because you get the more frequency range within a tricone. You get a little bit less boomy basses than in a single cone guitar, but you get a very mellow middles and very nice sparkling highs. And that guitar, the sound of a tricone, impressed me so much that although I had both a single cone and a tricone in the beginning, I just kept the tricone because that's my sound. I just found my own sound when it comes to resophonic guitar, and not before Michael Sandon made me this R15 little this little beast. But this is a very small resophonic guitar, and it's a combination of an acoustic and a resophonic. So it's usually resophonic guitars when they're made with a wooden body don't have a sound hole. They just have F holes, right? Like on an average resophonic guitar, to prevent maybe feedback, to maybe concentrate the sound to come only from the resonator area and all that. But this guitar has kind of 2 different sounds. One that comes from the sound hole, like maybe this. This doesn't sound so resophonic, but if I play it closer to the resonator with the microphone, the chord, and then there's a difference in those sounds. But that didn't make me want to buy a single cone metal guitar just because of that. No, this guitar has such a personality and it's such a wonderful instrument. Unfortunately, Michael is not building them anymore, so you cannot even call him and say, hey Michael, I'd like to have this guitar. There's no way. So another difference between instruments and gear. Guitars maintain their value. This is a very significant standpoint here. It's my argument for something that if you buy a guitar for $1,000, you are going to be able to sell it for $1,000. Especially if you don't buy a serially made guitar, just out of the music shop. Of course, they're going to lose value. But if you buy something that's been used out of better quality, if we're talking $1,000 guitar, acoustic guitar, I would not primarily buy a new guitar that costs $1,000. I would try to find a vintage guitar. But that's because I play blues and I play these traditional styles. So I'm always looking for instruments from the 60s, 50s, 40s and all that. And one of those instruments is my Silvertone guitar that I bought intuitively through eBay. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know anything about the shape. What those sellers write and tell you about the guitar, of course they're going to claim it's great and it's great shape and everything. It wasn't. But my point is that instruments can always maintain their value, or at least have much easier to maintain the value. The gear, pedals, amplifiers, stuff, maybe amplifiers from the 50s that are in original shape with the original tubes or whatever, those things can even increase in value when it comes to, time passing, and all of a sudden there's this guitar or amplifier from the 50s that everybody wants to have, and okay, that's there. But when it comes to pedals, effect processors and stuff like that, those things lose maybe 30, 40, sometimes 50% of their value as soon there is something new on the market. Just like when you buy a new car, as soon as you get out from the car dealer, you've lost half of the value of that. But this is when it comes to pedals and stuff. There are vintage pedals, there are vintage pickups that will still maintain the value and maybe even increase. But basically, that's what happens. So if you buy, let's say, a nice multi-effector, as I used to have, I bought ME70 and ME80, which are, let's say, effect processors by Boss Roland, which is it's got a daughter company, Boss. So Boss ME70 and 80 were two of the products that I got with a significant discount from Boss directly from Roland Scandinavia, because I used to participate in trade shows, and they hired me to do some demonstrations of stuff, and sometimes they would just say, okay, if you want to keep this pedal, you can just pay like a third of the price or something, which is very nice. They were not able to give it away, but it was a nice way to kind of, keep me as a customer and somebody who's using their products. Great. So I did that. But I haven't used my ME80 for a long time, because it's like this big, right? And it's got 4 pedals, and it's got manual settings, it's got some program settings, you can do that. A lot of a hassle, but it was too big, and it wouldn't give me everything I needed from those effects that were built in, as well as that the pedal was only a volume pedal and whatever. I don't want to talk bad about that product, because it's absolutely great for somebody who wants the very simple setup, and usually it's used by electric guitarists. Those emulations and effects that Boss has, some overdrives, you can just tailor your complete sound and just take one cable, plug it into your amplifier or any amplifier. That would sound good through a transistor radio. It's great. So yes, but I didn't use that for a long time. So one is more less. If you buy more stuff that you can use in different occasions, that means that for, let's say, larger workshops or larger tours, you can use larger stuff. Maybe you have a transportation which is on wheels. You don't have to fly. That way you can just bring everything with you. I'll be showing you some images in a second. And flying, packing neatly is going to save money. Checking luggage if you're flying. It's going to, by changing some of the stuff that you're using, can inspire to new grooves, maybe new songs, licks. All of a sudden you can find some new usage for the equipment that you maybe haven't used for a year or something. But there's always this kind of plateau. You come to a plateau when you're using your stuff, you've learned most you can learn about it, and then you're there. And I don't want to say it's a stagnation, because just by playing new songs or using new licks or whatever, you can still enjoy using your old stuff. But sometimes, every once in a while, companies come with hardware, usually gear, that all of a sudden makes things like pop out, like an idea. Go, oh, that's right. Maybe I could use that instead of this, and then achieve this that I've been thinking about and dreaming about for a long, long time. So this is the right time to go to our guest explanation by Homesick Mac. See if there's anything. Okay, 2 aspects I consider when buying stuff. 1, function. 2, upgrade, quality, ease of use. Very nice point. When buying gear, of course. Yeah. All right, so here we go. Oh, I just realized that I have a wrong camera on this one. Please forgive me. And that was because of that technical issues from the beginning. So now we're there. So This is a picture of from the old catalog from the 1959, 60 somewhere. This is Sears. I believe David is quite familiar with that. It was a catalog where you could buy loads of stuff, and amongst others, guitars. So this was a Silvertone plywood, very cheap guitar. It costed $29.95, which at the time was a significant maybe amount of money for somebody who's new, just starting out. And you could do a lot of stuff, and you could buy a lot of stuff for maybe $5, $10. So still, this was an expense. And here to the right is my own guitar, the one I bought on eBay, and I will show you just another picture. And this can be shown maybe in detail, because this is a guitar that was beaten up when I got it, and the top of the guitar and the neck up here that you can see are glued together, which is a very old way of building guitars of this kind. And what happened is that behind the neck there is an expander screw that's keeping the neck and the guitar body tight together, but that screw broke down. So when I got the guitar, it could hardly fit into the case, because the neck angle was kind of, I don't know, 10 degrees above the line of the body, and I think it needed just a little bit more, and it would just break the top of the guitar, and it would either be unusable, or I'll need to send it to somebody to kind of rebuild it, and it would cost a lot of money. So I solved it with a friend of mine who helped me find another screw that we could just put in through that hole behind the neck, and then you see this F hole, that's where the screw came out. Then we just secured it from that end and pulled it out, and sorry that I don't have the picture of it from behind, but there are two screws keeping everything in place, and I kind of tightened that up every, I don't know, couple of years when I remember it, but the guitar works great. And the main thing that happened was that the guitar came with this pickup, and this is a DeArmond jazz pickup from the 50s that has an amazing sound, natural compression. It's just there, don't move it, it's in a perfect spot, it sounds amazing. So this guitar is a killer for solo gigs, for stuff, and I paid it $350. I think I could sell it today for at least $2,500. That's what it was valued a couple of years ago when I was thinking of maybe selling it, and I'm not sure, whatever. No, I'll never sell it. Not because of the value, just because of the sound it's got. Since I have quite many purely acoustic guitars that sound great acoustically, this guitar sounds quite dry. And I'll definitely play it in some of the live streams just to show you how it sounds. But so that's this guitar, and that was an acquisition that I just did by impulse. I saw the ad on the eBay and said, wow, cool guitar, maybe I'd like to have an arch top, because I used to play arch tops, but they were not mine. Yeah, so let's move on. Why can't we just use the same gear for a really, really long time? This is an actual picture of a real keyboard that a very famous artist, singer-songwriter here in Sweden is using. I took this pic on his gig a couple of months ago. I'm not really sure if he would allow me to use this, but basically this is how it looks. And this is very, very beaten up instrument. There are tapes around here. It's like okay. Why? Well, because it's got this affection value for him. It's maybe the keyboard he started out with. Maybe it's still doing those things that he needs, and the rest of the stuff that he has, which is very sophisticated and newer modules, effect units, loopers, other stuff, pedals, he's got it all. But he's playing and performing on this one, right? And then you got Homesick Mac, who bought this little thing. This is a MIDI controller. Okay, costs around $100. You connect this through USB to your computer, and you can use it in any recording app like Logic, Cubase, anything you're using, GarageBand. And this is where you can trigger all synthesizers, orchestral sounds, and whatever. How much did I use this? Actually, a couple of hours. Within maybe 2 projects that I had. And I used the Spitfire audio plugins with the BBC Symphonic Orchestra with some nice strings, some big double basses sounds, and maybe some of the other instruments that I kind of baked into the production that I was doing. So that really went well, but I haven't used it much since. So some things you buy because you used maybe once, twice, and they pay themselves off by the fee that you're getting. So I guess that's approved, right? What's not really good is when you buy things just to buy them, and because maybe you see somebody else playing it and then you buy it and then you don't really explore it. Nothing wrong with that. Maybe you can do it at some later point in time in life. It's okay. But just buying maybe 5 things of gear, 5 pieces of gear that you're not going to use, that's something that's not really smart to do. And it maybe makes your wallet thinner. So, before I was about to build my first pedal board, because I started getting these workshops where I needed to talk about amplified guitar sound. It's like, okay, how should I make this amplifier? And this is actually a real picture that I posted on my Instagram when I was active on Instagram. I was like, okay, should I vacuum clean or should I work with my pedal board? And what do you think people replied? Of course, I'm not going to be vacuum cleaning. I did that afterwards. But I built the first pedal board that looked something like this. Out of this. This is actually how it looked. This was the mess on the floor and the pedal board that I bought. And it wasn't really the right... The board itself wasn't the right, it didn't have the right size and everything, so I had to combine it with something else and buy some other stuff. But this is the first iteration of my large pedal board for workshops. This was a week of work. All of these pedals I had lying and using on my gigs, so every time I was about to do a gig, I needed to pack them with their adapters or batteries. I had to make sure that everything's functional. I had to make sure that I don't forget some of the adapters, because I did that at times. Then I realized that I need to have at least 1 or 2 spare adapters, because what if they break down right before the gig or during the gig or something happens? You have to have your backup. So this took a lot of my energy before I assembled this first pedal board. Then how this looks from up above is nice. Maybe I'll say, okay, this is the red one. This is a reverb pedal. This is a digital delay for some effects. This is a tremolo, pipeline tremolo by TC Electronics, amazing stuff. Sentry, this is a noise gate, which means that if you have any noise in the system, maybe you're using a guitar with single coils, and this pedal board was used both with my electric and acoustic guitar. So there was this electric guitar where I had single coils, and sometimes my arched-up guitar that I just showed you, the Silvertone, would give me some buzz because of the frequency, because of the whatever electricity we had at the venue. Maybe they were connecting the lights at the same outlet as we did with our equipment, which usually gives you a lot of bzzz or hums of different kinds. So this is a gate pedal which makes it easy to tailor that and just open up the sound chain only when you're playing something. As soon your guitar is silent, it's going to just whoop, lock everything. A gate of some kind I also have on this microphone, because when I don't talk, it's very quiet. This here, the black one, this is a acoustic preamp, Sans amp, which is not in production anymore. Now they have this another kind of DI with a little pedal knob here, above, but this is an amazing piece of equipment. Polytune, this is a tuner. This is a loop pedal, which was used on my workshops. Sometimes when I played live, maybe sometimes I would get crazy and just loop a blues backup in a shuffle, just add another layer of that and then play a solo on top of that and sing or whatever. But usually it was used in a workshop where I could maybe record a loop of good backup and then demonstrate what I could or they could do. This here is a super octaver, a fantastic pedal. This is a overdrive pedal for some a bit more driven sounds for slide, especially on electric guitar. This is a compressor, fantastic compressor, slide rig by Origin. And this is a booster that just kind of emphasizes your sound a little bit when you maybe want to play a solo or just stick out in the sound picture. So this was my main pedal board. Then I dragged this thing around like a maniac, and to tell you the truth, the size of this is around 65-70 centimeters. I don't know how much is that in inches, but it's large, it's big, and it weights. You know why it weights? Because of this. This is a power supply that's custom made for me by a boutique, small company from Slovenia. That's my old home country, Yugoslavia, and then Slovenia and all other, parts of Yugoslavia republics became independent states. So this is a guy from Slovenia who made this for me. And if you're a little bit careful, you're watching this picture, you see this big fat cat. My nickname from when I was younger is Matsan, that's why I call myself homesick Mac, because nobody could pronounce Matsan. It was either Mason, Masan, whatever. So, and that means kind of mean cat in Serbian language. And the juice is this thing called, and it's custom made. And why is it custom made? Because the pedals don't always just need these 9-volt batteries or 9-volt voltage and power. They are sometimes different. So this is how it looks. This is made, and think about this when you buy your next power supply. Don't buy something that's just sufficient for what you need now. Buy something for the future, for maybe more pedals, for more demanding pedals, and the voltage that they might require. The main thing with this one is that you have all these 4 are with this little red line in between, which means these 4 are on one circuit. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then these 2 are on their own circuits, which means 6 separate circuits in this big power supply unit. Usually these commercial ones give you maybe half of the outputs are on one circuit and the other half is on the other circuit. Sometimes it can work, but usually the overall amount of it's called milliampere voltage that you would need for your stuff is tricky, because you need to be under that maximum number. That means that you will get enough supply and power for all your pedals, the ones you're using, the ones you're not using. It doesn't matter, they still want power. And if they don't get enough power, then you can get shortage, you can get some buzz, and it's just not a pleasant experience. So these 2 on the side are 18 volts. And the reason why they're 18 is that I ordered because of this compressor pedal that requires 18 volts. And then, as professional as the guys from this company are, they say, well, look, we'll make you 2. Just imagine if you buy another 18 volt unit. So let's do it there. Right. And after that, the big evolution of the more portable pedal board, because this was big, heavy to carry. Only the power supplies is 2.2 kilograms, right? So this weighed a lot. So I always had to check it in. Sometimes I had to bring a separate bag, and I was always taking this risk of what if something happens to it. It happened to me once that one of my guitars just flew to Singapore and reached me at my third gig on a tour, and I had to borrow somebody else's guitar to do the gigs. Right? So if this would, just kind of vanish somewhere and come back a week later, I mean, my whole sound is dependent on this one, so I don't want to check this in. So my next thought was, okay, let's make a smaller pedal board. And this is what it ended up with. So I kind of shaved off the stuff that I didn't really have to have with me. And still I needed this looper, and still I needed the reverb, the vibrato, the compressor, which is a fantastic thing to have. I needed a tuner, of course, a preamplifier. I needed a delay for one song in my whole program, but that song is so difficult to not play in my gigs because I've always played it and people know and expect it. That's it. And of course the noise gate. This was much smaller. It didn't weigh as much, but still there was this unit underneath. So I had to find another solution. Okay, if I just do it this way, maybe I don't need the looper every time I play. So my next iteration of this pedal board was this. All the pedals are there. I didn't include the overdrive pedal because I didn't have the space, right? So how would I do that? So I took that pedal, the overdrive pedal, and put it on top of the power supply, put it with a Velcro tape, and I could use it for some gigs where I needed it. But then still I had to drag another adapter or just to make sure that I could connect to one of these outputs here. Yeah, okay, it worked. Or I could just put the looper here, this one, on top here, also with a Velcro, and then it will work. So then the Georgian tour came along. Unfortunately, not Georgia in the United States, where I would really love to come. So David, yeah, that's how it is. But Georgia, right to the right and south from Russian border, to the right from Turkey and Iran, that's somewhere where Georgia lies. And we were in this eastern part of Georgia. It took around 4 hours drive from the capital of Tbilisi. And we drove those wide, crazy roads with a tour manager and a couple of other artists that took the same flight from Istanbul. It took us ages to get there. But this is a nice bungalow where they had this blues festival. Fantastic nature. This was in the hills of eastern Georgia, where you have a long tradition of your own winemaking. They're famous for that. There are mountains there. The climate is tropical and Asian as well. So it's both cold and warm, very cold nights, very warm days. Fantastic nature. This is Russ Green, fantastic mouth harmonica player from the States that I met there. And this is the stage where we played, much nicer in the evening, of course. And this is the nature. Mountains in the back, and this is like in a tropical, right? Palm trees and everything. It's just amazing. All right, let me ban this comment. We're still not done here. So I had to make sick. It's like a, oh yeah, really? Did you have to? But yeah. So I had to make this. In order to fly and be able to have a pedal board, which is actually, you see, this is a table underneath, or the shelf. So the pedal board itself, it's this. From here to the right, and this. This is very small. It's right here on the floor. I can show it to you. Right. So this is kind of, yeah, it's quite small, considering what it can do. And why did I buy this? Why was this kind of approved by my internal judgment committee about, okay, should I buy this or Can I do stuff without it? Yes, I could. Of course I could. But this would save me not to have to check in the luggage. It will fly with me. I put it in the backpack. I can always have it with me. Okay, you don't have a backup. But so if this works, it works. If it doesn't, you are roasted. You'll have to find another solution. But this pedal board consists of this looping pedal, which I actually just had for upcoming workshop. So I thought, okay, I just mount it there and it's okay. It doesn't take too much space. And I had space left. This is the B9 Electro-Harmonix organ emulator for guitar. David Hunt, we need to jam with this. I'm not going to say I'm going to play as good as you are. That's impossible. But this gives you several different layers and types of sounds on the guitar, and it sounds just like organ. You can have a cathedral sound, you can have a church organ, you can have a B9 Hammond, right? It's just fantastic. And I had some nice things that I wanted to do with it on the tour, and it was fun to use, and everybody loved it, and I loved it too. And the octaver that I started using quite on many occasions. So this was in 2019. So I had the same pedal board for like 4 years before that, and here's what I bought. What was new? This little unit here, which is the Boss MS3 effect processor and effect switcher, which means all of these 4 knobs can be individual pedals or sounds that you pre-program either in the software or you do it here on this little display. There are menus to get into, and this is expression and volume pedal. So this is the power supply unit. It doesn't weigh so much at all, and it's fantastic. It's by True Tone, One Spot Pro, fantastic. And actually, I do have space underneath here to place 2 more pedals if I need to. That's what's kind of answering the question. But okay, wait a minute. What if you need an overdrive pedal? What if you need a dedicated compressor pedal that you loved so much? You just told us about that 10 minutes ago. Yeah, right. But there is a possibility, since I just set and forget on my pedals. I don't do anything special during the gig because I really tailor my sound at home. So I can just place those pedals. I can move the power supply unit a little bit to the side, and then I could just place 2 pedals here, tape all the knobs where they are. There is enough space to give them power from this one as well, and that would be it, right? And this is how the MS3 looks from the close-up. The thing here, all these little diodes are lights, which shows which of the effects is active. So with these 2 knobs, you're going down in the banks. With these through, you're going up in the banks. And the banks are combinations of these 4 knobs, where each knob can be an effect or something that you want to do. There are compressors, overdrives, there are reverbs, vibratos, phasers, pitch shifters, anything you want from all Boss pedals, they are in there. So I was impressed by the possibilities of just using it by 1, 2, 3, 4 different pedals, and I just activate or deactivate, and it will show me in the lights here on the diodes what's on, what's not on. Perfect. And I really loved that sound. It was fantastic. The only drawback was that I couldn't change anything on the fly. Even if I got an idea from, let's say, a gig today, and then, oh, I'd love to change this for the gig tomorrow. That would mean that you need to go into the menus, you need to create new presets, you need to tailor that, you need to test it, you need to go in. And it was, well, not so time consuming. It wasn't that, but it just left a little trace of, okay, this is great, but it would be great if I could 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is what's left of that big pedal board, 70 centimeters wide and big. So all of these pedals I cannot take with me. So on this pedal board, I don't have the gate Sentry. I don't have that fantastic reverb by TC Electronics. I do have an octaver here. Okay, a looper pedal, I don't really need it. Maybe I could use the overdrive pedal instead of that. And okay, that would be solved. But if I look at this, what's left, right? I do have a tuner in the MS3 effect processor, but it's not as good as this one. I don't have a booster. I need to pre-program the knobs of the Boss MS3 in order to give me some extra volume on a second press, which means you still have to remember to press one of the buttons, and then on the second press you're going to get some maybe 10 decibels more of the volume. So you need to press it twice, and you need to remember that in the middle of your performance. So another thing to think about. Okay, let's move on. Then I didn't have the overdrive, which, as I said, could be moved up. I didn't have this compressor, which is just amazing. And I didn't have this vibrato. The vibrato that's built in the Boss, they're not really known for that. TC Electronics is amazing with that. This delay pedal, this is a hardware unit, but it's both analog and digital. And it's also a piece of gear that you maybe want to take with you. Only company that has better delays than this, or at least equally good, is TC Electronics. I think you are getting my point. So now what? I'm in the whoa. See these words? Plethora of possibilities with Plethora X5. So if I would buy a unit that's called Plethora X5 and which looks like this. This is a small unit with 3 slots, 3 kind of pedals that you can choose anything you want. These single pedals or units can be whatever you want. It can be any of the effects, modulation effects that TC Electronic is making. Both this one and this one and this one. In this configuration on this picture, you see one of the effects is vibrato, the other one is reverb, and then there's a looper. So which means that you can assign 2 effects and have a looper. And to be honest, this is great. This is showing like, if I just scroll down a little bit, you will maybe, it's not on this one. I think it's here. No, that's the big brother. So this shows, let's say from TC Electronics homepage, how easily this could fit into a very small pedal board when you have your main drive pedals, overdrives and compressors and whatever else you want to maybe use, and then just put these modulator effects where you can, okay, for some songs I will need reverb, for some songs I need vibrato, maybe I'll need a tremolo, whatever. All that exists in any of these spots. You can just change this to anything you want on all 3 places. And you can move, with these 2 knobs, you can move up in the different precepts and banks, and this will go down and this is up, these 2 knobs. Yeah, nice, but look what they've got here. They've got a bigger brother who was there first. 5 pedals or 5 units in one same, which means that you can assign more things to your sound. You can have both a compressor, which is definitely not as good as my slide rig, but that's something that I don't actually need on my acoustic gigs. You can have, let's say here you got this delay effect, you got this reverb, and maybe another delay, maybe another whatever effect you need, and then you can have this tremolo, or you can maybe just replace one of these with a looper. So this larger thing gives you more possibilities to tailor the sound. So if we go here, this is the price in Swedish crowns, but basically $450-$460. This is the MS3. The price of that is around $350 maybe, and it's really worth it. It's great. So let's go back to this. So this is a Plethora X5, the smaller one. If I would replace this MS3 with it, I would have place for 2 more pedals here, definitely. And this would be if I would get the Plethora X5. So this would take the same space as my MS3 and the looper pedal, which I don't always need. But then I won't have the place for an overdrive pedal or maybe this really nice compressor. But as I said before, on this pedal board underneath, I can mount 2 more pedals and the problem would be solved. So what are, right underneath here. So what are my excuses? Why? How can I justify the purchasing of this? Why would I buy it? And what would I gain from buying it? It's more gear. But I just presented you with a couple of arguments, couple of things that would make my whole gear smaller. It would give me the possibility to use all my actually remaining pedals that are on the big pedal board left, and I can just put them all digitally into this Plethora X5. The cost of it is going to be within my company, which is tax deductible. I could actually either sell the MS3 or just keep it for, yeah, maybe if something breaks down, maybe I can keep it. But all the pedals, the real pedals, hardware pedals, I could sell. Or I could just give them to somebody who's a new and aspiring musician. Maybe I'll just make a giveaway in one of my live streams. Like, yeah, send me some samples of your music or whatever, and then I can send you this pedal. I mean, maybe I'll make a deal with some of the manufacturers. I'm in the middle of negotiations with some companies that I really I'm using their products, and I'll try to find some kind of a ways to collaborate more deeply than by now. So yeah. So let me see what you got. No, David, it's not that I'm convincing us or yourself. I'm actually because I'm doing this publicly. I think it's important to kind of get some kind of recognition and to get justified by this choice, that nobody says maybe, oh no, you shouldn't buy it because, and then you give me a rant of whatever you think would be the reason for not to get this. For me, right now at this point, and since I flew to, I'm going to be flying, or this year I flew 10 times on workshops and other stuff that I was doing. There was Blues Week in the UK, Acoustic Blues Week in the UK. You know, smaller rig, more things on that pedal board than in this current configuration would really give me more content to talk about during the workshops, because I can then show all the effects, all the modulation effects you can use creatively, and just see what happens. So that's my, yeah. Hi Milovan, yeps, you're one of the people who are sending me occasionally pictures of, oh look, I bought a new guitar. Oh look, I bought this, I bought that. So we're two of the same kind. The whole live stream was about acquiring gear, and my rant was that guitars are not gear. Gear is technical stuff that's in between the guitar with a pickup, which is already a gear, and the audience's ears. So that's what the live stream was about. Yes, I have seen the Lion 6 Helix, and it's great. It works fantastic. I have a electric guitar player, friend of mine, who uses it a lot, and he swears by it. It's fantastic. It's just that I'm kind of sold on these electronic products, especially their reverbs, vibratos, and chorus is not so much. For me, chorus is I don't know. I just don't like chorus too much. But if somebody makes fantastic choruses, that's either Boss, Roland, or TC Electronics. They're great. Yes, I'm negotiating with somebody, and to be honest, it's not my wife, because the economy of my company is separated from my private economy, so there is nobody to tell me what to do, what not to do. The thing, and this is what I'd like to leave you with and to finish this live stream, is that there is always a pot. I never spend money I don't have. There's only maybe once or twice that I bought computers and invested by leasing, and then I really had to struggle to scrape together the monthly payment together with everything else that needed to be paid and all that in the company. But let's say nowadays I have this pot of certain amount of money, and for that money, man, I have a very large list of wish list items when it comes to hardware, what I would like to buy. I told you earlier about the microphones that are always a great purchase. Some other gear, some maybe new lighting for the studio, a camera, a new Sony FX30 that came a couple of months ago. That is an absolutely amazing camera. But since I don't have anything booked with my customers when it comes to my video production business, I don't have anything booked with them for at least 6 months ahead. I know that I don't have to buy that camera now. I can maybe do it in the middle of next year. But right now, this thing, the effect unit, Plethora X5, looks like a good decision to buy, and it's definitely not gonna eat up all the pot that I have for investments in the company. So yeah, I kind of justified the purchase, gentlemen, maybe a lady who would watch later, but right now we're only gentlemen here in the chat. So yeah. Oh, should I fetch her to tell you that? No, okay. But yeah, actually, that someone is me from within, because I always look at this list of things that I'd like to buy, and maybe I can actually finish off with showing you that. So here's my list of things that I'd like to purchase, and I will show you that. Where is it? Here. So, right. So this is my swap. This is my database of the stuff I have priority 1 on to buy. This is the wish list to buy soon, where things are sorted after priority. So my first priority was the camera for a long time, and the other one was the background for the studio, because that can be used for photography business as well, product photography that I do, and I always need to set up a special background or to fool around with moving from the studio, getting out somewhere in the apartment to get the depth of field and stuff like that. This way, if you buy a background that's dedicated for that, would maybe, or will definitely improve the whole process. So this is not coming, this is coming, and maybe this microphone. So these two things, and there are some lenses that are basically thought to be used with this camera, so I don't have to buy them. And everything else here is actually priority 2 and priority 3. And that's, but the list is very, very long. So, I don't know. I don't want to talk too much about that right now. It's like, okay, it's cool. I know what I'm going to do next. But yeah. Patrick, you're so kind. Thank you, sir. I will. I will do it. And then I promise you will get a demonstration of it with a split screen images of my guitar and the pedal board and effects used. And I could do a little demonstration of how I think about the sound now or then when I get the Plethora and work with it. So yeah, but next week I'm going to be demonstrating something else through the pickups. I think I wrote it down. It's in the plan, so I'll let you know prior to the next live stream. All right, thank you so much for coming today. It's been a blast, and thanks for listening to this rant about the gear and all that. I only played in the beginning and it gave you some nice backup, but I didn't have the time for the lick of the week and maybe the rest of the stuff, but we'll do it next week. Maybe. Sorry, that was my mouse. So maybe I'll be able to do it then. Oh, give me a second. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to press the button for the bye-bye everybody, and thanks so much for coming, and I'll see you guys next Monday. All the best.
It was in spring, one sunny day, my sweetheart left me, Lord, she went away. Now she's gone, and I don't worry, but I'm sitting on top of the world. And she called me up, down and out my soul. Said, come back, Daddy, Lord, I need you so. Now she's gone, and I don't worry, 'cause I'm sitting on top of the world. Like my peaches, don't you shake my tree. Get out of my orchard, let my peaches be. Now she's gone, I don't worry, but I'm sitting on top of the world. In spring, one sunny day, my sweetheart left me, now she went away. Now she's gone, I don't worry, but I'm sitting on top of the world. Now she's gone, I don't worry, but I'm sitting on top of the world.